Okay guys, so this was meant to be uploaded originally, but I had to upload the other Battle Pass Moonslot Sayer video first. So this video is going to be in regards to the cheesy tier list that I made like 2 or 3 days ago. Because whenever you make a tier list video, you always get clapback. And I always find it funny, but some people take it really, really personally. And I'm always just like, guys, it's just a game. Now, before I get into these screenshots, one thing that I want to say is that unlike Street Fighter, unlike Mortal Kombat, Tekken is a massive game. It's massive in scope, right? You've got over 100 moves per character, right? Some characters just shy of 100 moves. And you've got over 30 characters. I think the roster's sitting at what, like 33 or 34 characters right now? Maybe 35, or maybe 35 when Heihachi comes out. So there are thousands of moves in this game. And within this game, because it operates on a 3D playing field, there's multiple ways to approach the match. There's multiple systems. The heat system has been added on. So Tekken continuously stacks its system. So every time a Tekken comes out, the system becomes a bit more bloated. And so the game is very complex to get your head around. It's very hard to understand the best way to approach it. It's very hard to become consistent and really strong at the game for extended periods of time. And so the way we see Tekken is going to differ from person to person. I think we can all agree that Dragunov is the strongest character. I don't think anybody's really debating that anymore. Dragunov is the strongest character. But after that, there's a lot of debate on where people sit. Now, the video that I made was about cheesy characters. It wasn't about the strongest character, because obviously Dragunov would sit at the top. It was about cheesy characters, and it was my assessment. It wasn't factual. It was subjective, right? It was how I feel about the game. Now, in the interest of not making the video too long, I didn't give detailed breakdowns on every character, but when I went into the comment section and you guys were specifically saying, hey, why did you put this character there? I gave more of an explanation. Now, I'm not going to give detailed breakdowns on every character, but I am going to respond to the messages that I got on YouTube. Now, I didn't screenshot all of them because there were hundreds of messages that came in, or comments rather, and I just screenshot the ones that made me laugh the most, or the ones that I thought, hey, you know, I think you took this personally. People always get really bent out of shape when you put their character really high on the tier list and maybe you don't put your own character as high. Like I said, Tekken is a massive game, and because of that, when you've got Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, you can kind of see, at least when I was watching Mortal Kombat, Johnny Cage and Peacemaker were the top 2 characters, and then Chameleon was the cameo everyone spammed. So it was very obvious, because again, there's like only so many moves in Mortal Kombat, right? You've got a move list that you barely have to scroll down for, and then you've got like maybe 4 or 5 special moves, and then your cameo can do 2 to 3 or maybe 4 things. In Street Fighter, when I was playing Street Fighter consistently, JP, Luke, and Ken were the characters that everyone was speaking about, more specifically Ken, I think. And it was kind of clear cut, these are the characters that are on top. Because again, even though Street Fighter's got a very intricate and nuanced drive system, the moves are very, it's very limited. There's only so many normals. Characters have like 3 to 4 special moves, unless you're a special exception. Maybe JP has a few more. But in general, it's very easy to get an understanding of where characters sit, and it's not like that with Tekken. So that's why we don't agree. And I'm not saying me and you, as me and you watching the video. I'm saying any of us. If you read through the comments on that video, nobody agrees. But there's also some people that did not understand the difference between being really strong and being cheesy. And the two can overlap. 100% the two can overlap. And in Tekken's case, they often do. But it's not always the case. And that's what I was trying to make the distinction of. But I'll accept that because I didn't give detailed descriptions per character, it could obviously be interpreted in a way where I'm either trying to upplay or downplay a character. So I'm going to read off my favorite comments and respond in video format, because some of them made me laugh and some of them I need to give my thoughts on. So the first one comes from Ken from Street Fighter 3432, and this is the pinned comment on the video. He says, bro, I'm a Victor main, Tekken King, and why do you guys cry about him so much? That's the first thing that I want to say. If you are a grown man, or do you know what, because I know most people that watch my videos are men, based on my stats, it's like 92% men. If you're a grown man or a woman, and you think that me explaining something on a video, and you can see my face, and you can hear my monotone voice. If you infer that I'm crying from that, I've got to think that on some level you are emotionally inept. If you think I'm crying about it, it's one thing to make an observation, okay? And I've seen some streamers, they're playing a game and they get mad and they throw their controller. Then I might accept it. You guys have seen me streaming. I've done about, since I came back to YouTube, I've done about, what, 18, 19 streams? Not once have I cried. There's definitely been times where I've gotten salty, don't get me wrong. Where I've been like, hey, this Dragunov player, there's a guy who always comes to my stream, shoutouts to Ruse. And he just about beats me every time. And every time I grit my teeth, and I'm like, this motherfucker. Last time I got him though, but there was a lot of lag. Oh, Ruse will be happy to know that I have apparently fixed my PlayStation's Ethernet port, and I actually bought an Ethernet cable. So Ruse, the Dragunov player, buddy, if you're watching this one's for you. I'm going to beat your ass in 4K without any lag. So stick around for that. But every now and then I'll get salty, but never once would you ever catch me crying. So please, if you come to my videos, you know I don't censor the chats, but please stop writing cried. Because when I read that, I think you're stupid. I don't want to think you're stupid. I want to have a genuine conversation. I might give a bad take. I might give a bad take on Victor. I'm not very good at fighting the character. I've gotten better, but I'm not the best. So I might give a bad take. I can accept that. But if you tell me you think I'm crying, I'm going to think you're stupid, and I can't respond to you with any level of respect. Literally, he has 2 good moves because you guys cried and got everything else nerfed. He doesn't have 2 good moves, okay? Relax yourself. Up for 1+2 is trash, gets clipped out of the air and doesn't track anymore. Shit's slow and awful punishers. You guys say all we gotta do is press 2. Like, yeah, in green ranks that's okay, but that shit doesn't work past that. You can use that logic with any character. The fact you main Feng and don't have his staggering bullshit in the cheesiest tier is insane. The ultimate hold your hand character. But alright buddy, I'm not your buddy. Lars and Law are also way more cheesier with power crush spamming. Shake my head, what the fuck, shake my head. Dude, you need to relax, okay? First of all, I think you're conflating really strong with cheesy. Cheesy moves can sometimes be easy to beat up, but because they're cheesy, they're thrown in a way that sometimes can make it a little bit tricky. The reason that Victor is really cheesy to me is because he kind of breaks the mold of Tekken with his teleporting, with his janky animations, and the fact that you can spam 222. Now, I'm not saying that it's effective. That's not what I'm saying, because if I was saying it was effective, I would have put him higher on the tier list in my strongest tier list. I'm saying it's cheesy. It's cheesy to have a character where you can just go like that. Of course it is. What are you talking about? It's cheesy that he has a gun and he can shoot you full screen and then teleport in from that. It's cheesy that he can teleport from the sky and how much damage it does. Of course it should do no tracking. But you missed the train when I said that it's about cheesy and not strong. I'm not saying Victor's the strongest character. He's not. I know he's not. The more I play him, the more I can see the holes, and the more I understand why he's not spammed on a tournament level. But he is a cheesy character, okay? Make no mistake about that. He's a very, very cheesy character. And someone else said, you think Victor's more cheesy than Dragunov? 100%. Dragunov is overpowered. It's not broken. He's overpowered. He does things that I don't think I have a problem with the actual move. I have a problem with the application and the attributes surrounding it. For example, I was thinking about it, and his running 2, right? Thing that just claps you over your head. When it counter hits, it launches you. And I thought to myself, why the hell does this move launch? It's safe. It's kind of hard to step. Like, you can step it, but it does clip you quite a bit. When you block it, he's plus, right? He goes in for more bullshit. In my mind, I was like, okay, on counter it could launch, but why doesn't it just tailspin straight away? Why does he get a full launch from that? Like, you should take one away at least. Either the amount of plus he is or amount of safe he is, or the full launch. It should tailspin. So I don't think that's cheesy. I think that's overpowered. But I think those two things are completely different. So anyway, not to spend too much more time on this. I know people have their thoughts on Feng. I stand by what I said with Feng, and I think that what I stand by with Feng is given more credence and more validity when you only see the top level players using him, like Kokoma in tournament or Joker. And when you go online and you see Feng, his player stats are very low, right? His win rate is high, but his character usage is low. And I think that's because people pick Feng and they're like, his character's not, he's not string heavy. He's not that easy to use. He's not hard to use. I'm not saying he's hard, but it's not spammable the way like Victor's. Victor's a very spam heavy character. Whether that's effective or not is neither here nor there. That's probably why you're still stuck at Tekken King, right? I'm not saying that because you can spam something that your character's strong. I'm saying it's cheesy. Anyway, on to the next one. This one comes from Legend of Solidus. Very cool name. Maybe I'm biased since he's one of my worst matchups and I hate him, not just for his kit but as a character, but lore being as low as he seems like such a crime. It's like getting away with murder. Okay, so a lot of you, that was the main thing in this video, a lot of you said that my placement of lore in my cheesy tier list was way too generous. And I went back and I looked at it, and I saw another comment that said, how can you put Shaheen higher on the tier list and not Law, when one of Shaheen's cheesy points is his slide and one of Law's cheesy points is his slide? And I thought about it, and I thought, was I too generous with Law? And I was trying to figure out, do I think he's really strong or do I think he's cheesy? Now, I don't know. I might be being biased here because, as you guys know, one of my best friends is Ozzy the Lion-O, right? A legendary Law player from the UK. Used to be one of the best Tekken players, if not the best Tekken player in the UK at a point in time. I think around the Tekken Tag 2/Tekken 6 times, something around then. And I've been playing against his Law, which is very high level, for eons. And so I know the matchup really well. I know the matchup stupidly well. It's one of the matchups I know the best. I don't fear Laws at all. So I thought to myself, am I not being objective when I say this? Am I putting too much of my own bias into it? And that might be true, because I still don't see what you guys are talking about. I still don't see it. I still think Shaheen's cheesier than Law. I think Shaheen's running 2 is cheesy. I think his stupid armor break where he uppercuts you and your armor breaks, I think that's cheesy. I think the way he even approaches you in his heat is cheesy. I think his heat smash itself is super cheesy. I think Shaheen's a cheese ball. But I'm willing to accept that I might be wrong about that, because I've played Law so much that maybe I'm just not seeing it the way you guys are. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I'm willing to admit if I get something wrong. So don't think that me writing a tier list is the gospel truth, or I am the be-all and end-all, okay? I'm not even the best Feng Wei out there. I'm not even close. So don't get offended if you see Law like very low on the tier list in terms of like not being cheesy. Maybe I got it wrong. I might have to consider it a bit further. I might even speak to Lion-O and ask him, what do you think as a Law main? Bro, I know this is your list, but having Leo in the same group as Dragunov, Jin and Lily is crazy work. Okay, so yeah, this is one that got a lot of likes as well. And the reason I said this is that, again, I think people are putting cheese and very powerful in the same bracket. I don't think Dragunov is cheesy at all. I don't think he's cheesy one bit, to be honest with you. I think he's overpowered. But I think he plays pretty fundamental Tekken, if I'm being completely honest with you. He doesn't seem very gimmicky to me. He's very straightforward, right? He's going to hatchet kick you. He's going to wall run into you. He's going to try go for a couple grab mix-ups. You got to look out for the parry. He'll try hack your legs a little bit. Like, I don't feel like I'm dealing with gimmicks like I would Lily or Jin. So maybe putting Jin and Lily in the same bracket as Dragunov was a mistake. But as for Leo, when I picked him up, because I picked up Leo because he was my worst matchup in the game. I did not know how to fight that character at all. So I thought to myself, the only way I'm going to learn this character is if I actually play him online and play him for an extended period of time and learn his combos and his punishes. And when I learned him, I was like, this character's a cheese ball. I was like, man, he's got that sort of like Kempo vibe going for him sometimes with his stances. It's kind of hard because Tekken 8 in general is a cheesy game. Everyone's got cheese, even down to, I said Paul's the least cheesy character, which we'll get to in a bit. Even he's got cheese though. I'm not saying that Paul is exempt of cheese. But when I played Leo, I felt like I was cheesing people out online. I felt like I was spamming down 2 and then they would tap a button, counter hit, they get launched. Or is it? Maybe it's down 1. I can't remember which one it is. His hell sweep is just, there's no execution for it whatsoever. Everything just felt easy and cheesy. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't think Dragunov is a cheesy character by any stretch of the imagination. I just think he's too powerful. He needs to be scaled down a bit. You've got Alex here saying, Mike, you've clearly fallen for the propaganda, man. I'm not going to name this character, but think about this. Now, he did go on to name the character. The character was Kazuya. And I put Kazuya down in one of the least cheesy characters. And I stand by that. And I had this conversation in my Discord. I can't remember who it was. Or maybe on my stream. And we were talking about Kazuya. And they were saying that he's a mix-up machine. But I don't think being a mix-up machine makes you cheesy necessarily. Especially with Kazuya's mix-ups. A lot of his mix-ups are very, like, if you punish them, he eats a lot of damage. And if he guesses wrong twice against certain characters, he dies. So I don't think mix-up inherently makes you cheesy. I think it could. There's potential that it could. But I don't think Kazuya's one does. I think his wall game is a bit ridiculous. I think that, I don't know if I'd class it as cheesy. If I was to give you a cheesy mix-up character, I'd probably go more Raven than Kazuya. I know the Raven mains right now, they're fallen, right? Fallen. My boy thought he's throwing knives at the screen, he's throwing kunais at me. But I think because Raven creates so much screen noise, I find characters that create screen noise more cheesy than straightforward mix-up characters. Now, don't get me wrong, if Kazuya guesses right, you die, but you don't die in 2 taps. Somebody was saying that to me. You guess wrong twice against Kazuya, you're dead. That's only if you're hitting like a perfect electric or whatever. I don't think you die in 2 taps. Because if you get Hell Sweep twice, you're not dead. If you get forward freed twice, you might be close to death, but I don't think you'll die unless the wall is there. So no, I don't agree Kazuya. I think Kazuya is a very strong character, but I think there's a level of risk that comes with him. And his mix-ups, whilst they are powerful, I think they're pretty straightforward, right? He's got good Okizeme, he's good at the wall, but I don't think he's cheesy. Maybe his devil form is cheesy, but I'm not really counting Heat, because Heat is cheesy for everybody in Heat is a cheese ball. Everybody gets turned up to Super Saiyan, so I'm more looking at the base character and what the character offers outside of Heat. Obviously, some Heats are more cheesy than others. I don't think Kazuya's is the most cheesy Heat, so I disagree. This guy gave me a full breakdown of all the things you can punish. This video and the cheesy video was not about punishing the characters. I know how to punish Kazuya. I know what his frames are. I know where to step him. That's not what the video is about, because I could say to you guys, okay, I'll give you a detailed breakdown on how to beat Algol in Soul Calibur 5, right? I was an Algol main, and you know, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I was the #1 Algol in all of Europe, maybe even in the world online. I'm not too sure. I think I was #1 in the world, right? I've put the screenshot up 100 times. If you want to see it, message me. I don't want to glaze myself. Actually, maybe I'll just put it up again. I was the #1 Algol, right? When I was going to tournament, I was beating the top people. I was playing people in private money matches. I was beating them. I was beating people in exhibition matches. I even went over to Birmingham. I think Kayane was there. I wish if Justin Xavier, the guy that does Versus Fight, had the footage, I would ask him for it. I had Kayane dead to rights. Okay, Kayane is an amazing player, right? She stood the test of time, but I had her dead to rights. I had her on the ropes, and somehow I goofed and ringed myself out, and I couldn't believe it. If I had beaten her, I would have gone into top 8, and I reckon I could have won that tournament, but I goofed, and I got sent to losers, and then I was so like taken out of it, I got beaten. So I'm a very knowledgeable Algol player. I can pick up Soul Calibur 5 now, and I can do everything that I did back then. I haven't forgotten a thing. He's my favorite character in all of fighting games. So I can give you the blueprint on how to beat him. I can give you all the punishes. That doesn't change the fact that he's a cheese ball. It doesn't change anything. And if he wasn't a cheese ball and I gave you all of the punishes, it still wouldn't change the fact that he's not a cheese ball. So telling me how to beat the character doesn't change the fact that the character can or can't do certain things. Everybody can learn a matchup, right? You could learn how to fight King inside and out. You could learn that matchup like crazy, or better yet, the biggest cheese ball of all characters in Tekken, and my main, Marduk. I could give you the blueprint on how to beat him. I know how to play Marduk very well. It doesn't change the fact that the character is the biggest cheese ball in Tekken history, and I know that. I know when I was playing people, I was cheesing them to death. Every time my back was against the wall and I was like, right, I'm going to lose this one. What do you think I did? What do you think I did? Forward 1+2 or Valet Tudo? And to add a layer to it, because I knew they knew that was coming, they'd be there scrambling. I'm like, I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to sweep your legs, right? What was it? Quarter circle forward 2, sweeps your legs, and they press a button. That move, that counter hit move, right? He smacks you in your legs, he grabs you by the face, he face plants you, and you've lost like 40%. God forbid there is a floor beneath you. You're going to die. So this is not a case of needing to know what the character is capable of, although it might help in alleviating some misjudgments of the character, but it doesn't change the fact the character's a cornball. In Kazuya's case, even with your breakdown, I don't think he's a cornball. Certified MVP. I'd be spamming Giant Swing and other King throws with zero shame and remorse. I salute you. Every character's got some cheese in it, and people would cheese for their rank points, and I will have had my fair share of dealing with cheese. Also, why is Dragunov and Jin so low in this list? Well, again, I don't think Dragunov is cheesy. I've covered that. In Jin's case, to me, Jin's cheese is down 2, really. Like, down 2 and forward 2, I think are stupid attacks. I think they're pretty cheesy, they're pretty spammable. Down 2 is hard to see. Forward 2 is completely safe. It's a heat engager. It's even got a phantom hitbox in it, so that's a cheesy move. But outside of that, I don't think Jin's very cheesy. Who I do think is cheesy, who I'm going to get to in a little bit, I know this really riled some people up, is Devil Jin. And I'm going to explain to you my reason as to why I think Devil Jin is cheesy, because again, I think people think that being cheesy and being powerful are the same things, and I don't think Devil Jin is the most powerful character in the game. On the contrary, I think he's probably lower down in the tier list. He's not unviable, not by any stretch of the imagination. But I think he's cheesy. But I'll inform you on why I think that in a moment. This comment made me laugh because I read it and like they were getting panicked by what I was saying. Law not cheese, triple question mark. Jack less cheesy than Devil Jin. Jun higher than Lily. Lars higher than Reina. He's literally dead. If you guess right, low guys, some of your grammar, like seriously. He's literally dead. If you guess right, low reward, high risk. Zafina higher than Kuma. I guess everyone's perspective in Tekken varies. Nice video. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you very much. But the beginning of this made me laugh. So, Law not being cheesy, we've covered that. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not conceding defeat yet, but maybe I'm wrong. Jack less cheesy than Devil Jin? Yes. Let's talk about the Devil Jin, my slander of Devil Jin. The reason that I think Devil Jin is cheesy is because I think that's how Devil Jin win matches. That's how I think they win matches. I don't think Devil Jin is a solid, powerful character if you were to compare him to the other Mishimas, right? I don't think Devil Jin's solid. I think he's probably lacking in a few areas. I think he is Hell Sweep, or some of the moves he uses to try and mix you up, they're not the best. He's kind of easy to see coming. So I think in order for Devil Jins to do well, they have to really rely on cheese. I think that move, well, I don't know what the notation is, but he sort of leans back, he flies into the end and drop kicks you. That move is hella cheesy. Now, that's not me saying it's overpowered, okay? Don't mistake the two, because as soon as you see that, you're like, okay, cool. He's thrown into the air, just block, launch him. Or do a 13 frame punish or something like that, like shoulder him. I'll shoulder him with Feng. So that move, once you see it, it kind of eliminates it. The problem is that online and in tournament, Tekken's played in a best of 3. And so adapting to cheese, when the character's now gone into heat, and Devil Jin's heat is still very strong, okay? It's not the strongest, but it's pretty tough. Once a character goes into heat, the round could be lost. And in a tournament setting, or the ranked mode setting, where it's high pressure and you haven't got a lot of time to adapt, and a character is almost exclusively cheesing you by flying across the screen and doing weird gimmicks where he gets off the ground and flies into the air, that can catch people off guard. And so the reason that I said Devil Jin is so cheesy is because his whole moveset relies on cheese. He's not a solid Mishima like Kazuya is, or Jin. He's a cheesy one. That's probably why he's so low tier, because he's not solid. There's too many risks with him. But high risk characters can often be cheesy. They're throwing a lot of caution to the wind, and that often looks pretty cheesy, at least in my opinion. So yeah, I stand by what I said. Devil Jin is a pretty cheesy character. But if you think cheesy and overpowered is the same thing, then, or powerful, that's where you're making the mistake here. I'm not saying that. The worst characters in the game, in my opinion, are very cheesy characters, which are Kuma and Panda. When I say that Kuma and Panda are the worst characters in the game, I don't mean they're bad characters, because there's no bad characters in Tekken 8. But somebody has to sit at the bottom of the tier list, right? Somebody has to be down there. If I was going to pick somebody, it's going to be Kuma and Panda. Maybe Eddie next to them as well, I'm not too sure. But Eddie is a cheese ball. You just watched, I think it was the Emirates Showdown, and Tekken Master was in the grand finals against Kokoma, who was using Feng Wei and realized that his back was against the wall and switched to Dragunov. Ended up winning the whole thing with relative ease. More testament to how powerful Dragunov is. But if you're watching that match, Eddie was doing the most cheesy shit I've ever seen in my life. So much screen noise, so much disorientation. Now, obviously, Eddie is on the complete opposite side of the tier list to Dragunov. Dragunov is extremely powerful and extremely solid. Eddie's not solid because he's taken a lot of risks. But the risks he's taken are surrounded in cheese. All this clipping of your legs, dancing around you, cancelling into stances. He's a massive cheese ball. He's a massive cheese ball. I'm sorry if it feels like I'm making light of your hard work as a player. I'm not. I'm definitely not. Like I said, I played the cheesiest character in the history of Tekken, and I played Algo in Soul Calibur 5. So please never mistake it as me trying to upplay or downplay characters. It's just how I see Tekken. You might see it differently, but you're no more right than I am. This is all just opinion. The only thing that we all agree on here is that Dragunov is too powerful. Ahmed says, this list pissed me off. Good. Good. If you get pissed off at a Tekken tier list, I'm sure you're joking. Much like I am. You can see we're just having a laugh. But if you did get pissed off, if you're somebody that did watch this and genuinely you felt it in your bones, good. Go to therapy. Agua said, can you just sidestep Jun heat burst, and Jun does not even have threatening lows? I think what they meant to say was you can just sidestep. This is another one where I'm just like, I hate comments like that. No offense, but you can just beat every move if I give you the way to beat it, right? Normally every move where you're standing up, there's a way to beat it. Dragunov's running 2, sidestep it. Kazuya's hell sweep, block it and then launch punish. Feng Wei's back Kempo 3, block it, punish. Snake Edge, block low, right? I can give you ways to beat it. It's very different when you're in a match. Now, I'd like to refer to somebody I've spoken to on this channel before when we're talking about Jun, and that's Blackheart, right? Me and Blackheart, for those of you that don't know, we settled our differences. We're cool. He comes into my stream now. Sometimes I'll pop into his to see what's going on. We're cool. He's in my Discord. He's a nice guy. We got off on the wrong foot, so shout outs to Blackheart. But if you guys have seen Blackheart's Jun, it's disgusting. Good luck trying to sidestep him, because the thing is, on paper, it's all well and good to say, hey, just sidestep this. Just use a Tsubaki, just low parry it. That's all you gotta do. That's not how Tekken works, okay? And if you've been playing Tekken for any amount of time, or as a matter of fact, any fighting game, but more so Tekken, it's not as easy as, oh, just sidestep. That thing comes out like a shotgun, first of all, and you also have 100 other of her moves to contest with. So when you're worrying about a very, very powerful player who knows how to use all of their tools like Blackheart does, then you're not just worrying about the heat smash, but you're also aware, if I make a wrong move here, she's going to shoot me, basically, and she's going to get health back. That's what makes these moves so powerful. You could just sidestep Feng Wei's shoulder heat burst, right? But are any of us going to sit here and pretend like his heat smash is not very powerful? That it doesn't send you across the screen, that you can get a full combo from, and that he can do mix-ups from after it's blocked? Or he could choose not to, and you could try to punish him thinking he's going to go into Kenpo and nothing happens. Are we going to sit here and be like, just sidestep it? It's not as easy as that. That's not how these matches go. If it was easy as that, everybody would be getting perfects. Don't worry about it. Just block it. Just block it. Just block. That's not how Tekken works, okay? So Jun is a cheesy character, and I'm pretty sure Blackheart, who is the best Jun that I've ever seen in the world, will probably attest to that. Jun is both powerful and she's cheesy. Lee should be bottom of this list. Law, what the fuck, Paul? Okay, so we'll talk about Lee and Paul because we spoke about Law already. Lee, bottom of the list. Lee was almost bottom of the list anyway. He was almost bottom of the list anyway. So there wasn't the same way that we look at the tiers normally of how strong characters are. When you look at, let's say, from the character that's second on the tier list, right? Let's say that's Nina or Yoshimitsu, to the character that's maybe fifth. Let's say, for argument's sake, before you chop my head off, that is Feng Wei, right? Second to fifth, there's not that much room there. You could switch those around and people wouldn't really complain. If you said, no, Feng is second and Nina's fifth, I wouldn't complain too much. Obviously, I see it differently. But because nobody's bad in Tekken, everyone's strong, there's a lot of crossover in terms of where people sit on the tier list depending on who you are. So, sorry, that's my dog in the background. In terms of Lee not being at the very... Oh, for fuck's sake. Shut up, B! Why are you barking when I'm making videos? Right, you're going to sit here now whilst I rant about Tekken. Okay? What was I even saying? You made me forget what I was saying. Right, so in terms of Lee, he's already near the bottom of the tier list, so I don't feel like that placing is really that bad. Paul, I stand by what I said of Paul. Paul, you don't see him very often because I think people have a hard time using him. I think people find it very hard to be effective with him, and when you find it hard to be effective with a character, that might indicate that they don't have a lot of cheese for you to abuse. You might need to play some fundamental Tekken. You might be thinking, oh, Death Fist does a lot of damage. Yeah, but so if Paul was that cheesy, why don't we see him that much? The characters we always see are the cheesiest ones. So I disagree with that. I find it amusing that you have two characters with the longest and most comprehensive movesets in the game in the brain dead cheese tier. I didn't call anyone brain dead, first of all. Yoshi makes a little bit of sense because of his obnoxious gimmicks, but he still requires execution. I disagree. I don't think Yoshimitsu doesn't require execution. At least they've brought his execution down so dramatically from Tekken 7 and Tekken 6, in my opinion. I don't think it requires execution. King's placement, on the other hand, tells me that you've probably never used the character. That's false. I used King before extensively, nor are you proficient in breaking grabs. I'm okay at breaking grabs, but I don't need to be proficient in that to observe something. His archetype is not brain dead. Remembering and successfully performing setting up his throws, especially when people are looking for them in conjunction with his other tools, is not an easy endeavor. Yeah, but if you're looking for his throws in conjunction with his other tools, that makes his throws more powerful because King has good buttons. King has good setups. His heat smash, for example, sometimes it's unavoidable. If you're on the ground, King's going to hit you, and so there are situations where you're literally dead against King. There's situations where he will set you up and you will die because of it. And so because of that reason, yes, I stand by King being a cheesy character. I didn't say he was brain dead. I said he's cheesy. If you've got your back against the wall and King goes for a giant swing, you're dead. Now you might say, oh, just press 1. I guess none of us are getting hit by giant swings then, since we can all just press 1. That's not how Tekken matches work. That's why we saw the King, who was the King player at Emirates, he was absolutely just doing the most nonsense. He was getting to the end of rounds, and think about, do you mind? He was getting to the end of rounds and then doing giant swing against the corner and getting a lot of damage for it. That King is a cheesy ass character. On top of that, he's got armor, and then when he's running at you, he can cancel it. So he doesn't have to commit. When he's running at you, he's got a safe uppercut. He's got a low that you don't really get much of a punish from. He's got an RKO that recovers his heat and puts him in heat and does good damage and puts him in a good situation when he gets up. He's got a drop kick mid, right, that sends you flying across the screen. How can you think this character's not cheesy? You don't have to be. If you are not good at breaking grabs, you don't have to be. It's got nothing to do with how you approach King. You can look at King's moveset and you can be like, alright, if this guy gets me in a chain grab, you can't tell what he's going to do, right? The commentators and people that are knowledgeable on Tekken have said multiple times, when King gets you in specific chain grabs, you have to guess. You can't see what he's going to do next. If you guess wrong, right, and he gets you in the Cradle of Death, whatever that move is called, right, the old Tajiri move, you're eating shit. If you've taken 30% health, you're likely going to die. And so there's situations with King where you have to sometimes eat shit, which doesn't occur with loads of other characters. This has nothing to do with proficiency in breaking grabs or knowing how to deal with his tools. You can observe something and be like, wow, okay, he's got some really good buttons. His forward neutral too, a ridiculously good poking tool. You see people spamming that all the time, A, because the animation is very weird and he sort of crouches down but he's standing, but it's also a low. And if you get brave and press a button, you just ate like, what, 25-30%? Now God forbid he's got heat, because if he knocks you down, he's got heat, you're in for a long day. So no, I completely disagree. King is the most cheesy character in the game. He's not the strongest character in the game, although I would put him in the top echelon of characters, but he's the cheesiest by far. BLN Snake says, of course he put Zafina up there because of me. I didn't put Zafina up there because of you, bro. Although I do appreciate you playing me with your Zafina, and it's a great Zafina, but I had this feeling towards Zafina ever since she came out in Tekken. No matter what Tekken it's been, even if she's not been at her best, and she's not at her best in Tekken 8, she's still extremely cheesy. She goes under lows. We played a set together, and I pointed it out to you, and I said, I just did a low, and you went under it, and you said, yeah. I showed it to you. She goes on the mids, right? She's got weird, janky hitbox. She's got moves that look the same. They look similar to other moves. She's got a weird power crush. She's just an odd character to fight. Her whole moveset is cheesy. That's not me saying that she's a top tier. I don't think she's a top tier. I think that she's just very cheesy. She's very good at cheesing people. I think Zafina would be pretty good in like a quick burst match. Like if you were doing like a 1-to-1, I think you'll eat copious amounts of cheese, and by the time the match is over, you'll be like, oh. But if you're going up against a very powerful, knowledgeable player in like a 1-to-10, and you pick Zafina, and they're well versed in the matchup, cheese starts to wear off the longer the matches go, right? Because cheese is not a solid route to victory. It is when it's a quick burst match. That's why we call it cheese. But I stand by that. It's not because of you. As I said, your Zafina's good, but I've always had that sentiment towards Zafina. How are you going to put Shaheen so high because of slide but put law? Oh, we covered that already. Why is Jun higher than Feng? You said it was because of Jun's shotgun heat smash, but Feng has shotgun heat smash too, and his wall splats so far, and his heat is better than hers too. I do agree that his heat is better than hers overall, in my opinion. The reason that I put Jun higher than Feng is that I think string characters are inherently more cheesy than characters that are poke heavy. I think poke heavy characters have to pick their moments, whereas string heavy characters, they sort of mix you up with their strings, so you kind of guess, oh, is she going to go for the low punch? Is she going to go for like an overhead? What is she going to do out of her stance where like she sort of sweeps you and then uppercuts you or whatever? Or is she going to do that high that's plus? Like what is she going to go for, because she's so string heavy here? Whereas Feng, although he's very powerful, I don't think a poke heavy character is as cheesy as a string character. Also, she has projectiles, which in a Tekken game is mad cheesy. Her heat smash, whilst I don't think it's as good as Feng's, or her heat, I think her heat smash might be better itself, but her heat overall is not as good as Feng's. But still, having a shotgun heat smash where she ain't gonna be anywhere near the opponent, so she doesn't have to worry about the same things Feng would, because he has to be up close, I think that is more cheesy. That's just my opinion. I must disagree about Claudio's cheesiness. If you lab him, Claudio is not scary anymore. Okay, and then he goes on to explain to me how to beat Claudio. I put up a video the other day playing Shen's Claudio, he's a very solid Claudio. You know, he's only just come back to the game, but he's a very solid player. And I've played other Claudios that, even if they've beaten me, I've given them a run for their money, or I've managed to overcome them. I managed to beat some God of Destruction Claudio, I can't remember who it was, but it was a close set, so I know how to fight the character. Okay, but he is cheesy. While running 2 is cheesy. His other running attacks are cheesy. His projectiles are cheesy. His Shoryuken is cheesy. That shit goes under mids as well sometimes. His whole moveset is cheesy. Claudio is a cheese ball. That whole Stardust thing, cheese. Maximum cheese. When he goes into heat, supreme cheese. Again, this is what you should do to beat the move. I can give you the blueprint to beat Jinpachi. Would I be lying if I said that Jinpachi's not cheesy? Of course, Jinpachi was crazy cheesy. Crazy cheesy. Teleporting, doing up teleports, shooting fireballs. His ridiculous mid launchers. Like, if the character was cheeseball, he was the biggest cheeseball in Tekken Tag 2 or one of them. I can give you the blueprint how to beat him. He's still cheesy. So again, this whole the character is not scary or strong. It's not about scary or strong. The character can be low tier and just rely on cheese. This tier list comes across as though it's from somebody either misinformed or inexperienced. It's hard to respond to this comment because they didn't give any constructive criticism that I can really respond back to. But what I will say is that because of the scope of Tekken, like I said, everybody has different takes on where people sit on the tier list. I am no more right than you, and I think that all of this is up for debate, and it's good to have conversations about it. Yoshimitsu is not a cheesy character. Yoshimitsu is a cheesy character. He's got cheeseball moves. He has a move where he can stab himself and steal the round from you if you're close enough. He has moves where he steals your health. His flash is cheesy. His low unblockable is cheesy. His standing unblockable is cheesy. His wall game is cheesy. His heat smash is cheesy. His fly stance is cheesy. The whole character is cheesy. You're mistaking execution if you believe Yoshimitsu is an execution heavy character and cheese. You can still have a high execution character be cheesy. No one ever said that. But Yoshimitsu is cheeseball the character. Like, he has that stupid move where he just gets away with stuff, where he can just spin away. That move's crazy cheesy, so no, I completely disagree with that. And the last comment is, lore less cheesy than Devil Jin, bro, delete your game. And I said no to him. We've already covered all of that anyway, so that's all I really wanted to say on this video, guys, just to give you more explanations on why I said certain characters were cheesy and why I said certain characters weren't, or not as much. I'm pretty sure I'm going to probably get clapped back for this one as well. Your comments are always welcomed in the comment section. I always read them. I try to get back to all of them. Just a couple of things, like house cleaning rules. Not rules, because I'm sure you won't follow them. But if you say to me, why are you crying? And you're being serious, as now I'm sure some of you are going to troll me now. Then I'm probably just going to ignore your comment going forward. I can't talk to a grown man that is emotionally inept like that. But for everyone else that wants to have a discussion about it, I will be in the comments. So I will see you guys very soon. Take care and peace.